time now for our business update, and with us for that in studio is Catherine Bennett. Catherine, going to start, I believe, with that Farnborough Airshow in the United Kingdom, a showcase for many airline manufacturers and indeed a place where a lot of massive deals are done.
Yeah, indeed. So the annual airshow is a kind of shop window for aviation companies. It's where they rack up all of their deals for the year to come. But this year, US trade and Brexit are on everyone's mind. Only a few weeks ago, aviation company Airbus, which has a massive presence in the UK, threatened to pull production in the event of a no-deal Brexit, which is looking increasingly likely. UK Prime Minister Theresa May is using the event to try to calm jitters within the UK aerospace industry. Yesterday, May announced over £300 million worth of investment towards research, as well as $2 billion towards the design of a new fighter jet. Let's have a listen.
We're leaving the European Union and forging a new future for our country. And as we do so, I want to ensure that the UK remains one of the best places in the world for aerospace companies to do business, to continue as world leaders in innovation, to make the most of the huge opportunities that exist. Because this is an incredibly exciting time for aerospace. Not only is there huge growth potential, but many of the developments taking place have the potential to transform the way we fly.
And EU officials are in Japan today to sign the single market's biggest ever trade deal. This in the face of US President Donald Trump's international tariffs and his threats of a trade war with China. European Council President Donald Tusk and head of the Commission Jean-Claude Juncker are looking to open up EU trade to Japan's auto industry. In return, Tokyo will scrap tariffs on dairy, wine and pork. The deal defies Trump's protectionist policy by getting rid of 99% of tariffs. Now let's take a look at how the markets are reacting to that. Asian stocks mostly down today as markets continue to react to China's release of economic data yesterday, which showed that economic growth in the country had slowed for the first time since 2016. The Shanghai Composite down by around just over 1%, along with the Hang Seng Index. Tokyo's Nikkei was the only index to see any gains, marking perhaps a sign of confidence in upcoming trade deals. So while the EU is practicing damage control with Trump's tariffs, the International Monetary Fund yesterday issued a stark warning. It said that tariffs imposed on imports by the US threaten to knock 0.5% off global growth by 2020. It added that tariff rises would hit stock markets and US business confidence would also take a hit. Now that the World Cup is over, French fans are coming back home. But what about those French people who have taken the leap of faith and set up businesses in Russia? Ludovic de Foucault and Yena Li went to meet the French expats who've made Russia their second home.
A little France right in the centre of Moscow. Much like a French fairground, there's cheese, crepes and churros.
Good, good. There's a 15-meter queue.
Next to the big French brands are smaller businesses who are betting on the reputation of the Made in France label.
It helps if you speak Russian, but it's not easy.
But they love a good product like Marseille soap.
Around 500 companies in Russia are at least part French-owned, such as Hexagon, a startup that helps French companies move to Russia.
The idea was to help French small and medium-sized companies to move to Russia. They might be reticent, so we put them in contact with other French partners here to help them integrate.
Contrary to what you'd think, Russia doesn't have barriers when it comes to creating companies. It's a country that's made for entrepreneurship. For example, it was quite easy for us to create a company.
And they're not the only ones. More than 5,500 French people live in Russia. But for many, moving to the former Soviet Republic wasn't without road bumps. This hairdresser settled here 17 years ago.
When you come here like me without a contract, I mean, with a local and not an expat contract, and you don't have a flat, no insurance, nothing, it was not easy. All times you wonder if you're going to stay, the paperwork, the visa, it's all very difficult. But hey, look, it was all worth it, with a bit of perseverance.
Despite EU sanctions against Moscow since the annexation of Crimea, trade between France and Russia continues to rise.
And finally, Netflix has disappointed investors after reporting that it has failed to attract as many subscribers as hoped. The streaming service said that it added 5.2 million subscribers in the 3 months to June, well under its original forecast of 6.2 million. The company's stock plunged 14% after the news. Netflix is going to be vying to keep its foothold in the online streaming market as competition from tech giants like Apple, YouTube and Amazon ramps up. And that's all we have for the business news.
OK, Catherine, thanks for that wrap-up.